What's up everybody? In this video I'm going to be making an iwagumi in a 45p tank that I just recently bought. So for this video I'm trying to record a little bit different. I'm trying to be on camera and talking through the build as I build it. This tank is going on my little sort of scape rack that I have behind me, so it's a bit of an awkward height, but should be good to build it here. So for this build I've got some ancient stone and I want to do a pretty classic iwagumi with just a few plants, some Monte Carlo, some nice tall sort of more grassy like plants in the background. So anyway, let's jump into it and I'll talk you through the build as we go. Okay, so to start off here we have our 45p, so this is a curved edged 45p tank. I bought this second hand and it came with a WRGB 30 centimeter Chihiros light, which I'm not going to be using on this tank because it's going on the rack, which has a WRGB light on there already. And it also came with an Awase Filto Smart 60, which I'll be using for the filtration. So to start off with this tank, I'm going to be putting in some of the ADA Magic powders. These are just substrate additives. You don't have to use these. I bought them for another tank and I've had a bunch left over, so I've used them in a few tanks now and they seem to give pretty good results. There's some Clear Super, which is charcoal. There's some Back to 100, which helps with the beneficial bacteria, and there's the Tourmaline BC, which is meant to help with root growth and other things like that for the plants. So overall I've been pretty happy with these when I've used them, and they last a fair while when you're making smaller tanks. So starting off, I'm going to put down some Tourmaline BC, which is the nice black powder, and I'm pretty sure it's just like a sort of charcoal-y product. Just want to put a nice little layer down on the base there. And that's pretty much it, just a small little layer does the trick. So I've used these powders on one 4-foot tank and I've used them on one 30 centimeter cube, and I've still got a ton left. They'll last for quite some time. So now we've got a bit of the Clear Super, which is a bamboo charcoal. Don't need too much down there, just a little bit more because it doesn't quite go on the scoop as well. There we go. And finally, we have the Back to 100, which is just sort of a dormant beneficial bacteria and stuff that's good for the beneficial bacteria to grow. So let's just powder that in. And I'll just do a little bit more, like another half scoop. So yeah, with tanks like this, I think the Tourmaline BC and the Back to 100, I've got at least another 10 tanks worth in these bottles. The Clear Super goes a bit faster because it is a more chunky charcoal product, but overall these are going to last me a long time, so I'm pretty happy with them. So up next, now that we got those sort of base bits of substrate in, I'm going to be putting in some bags, some small mesh filter bags with some small lava stone in them. I find it just helps to prop up everything and give it a bit more height, so you don't have to use quite so much soil. And being in the bags is quite nice because it just means you can reuse the soil a bit easier. You don't have to clean all the rocks out later. And just helps to build it up because I'm going to try to build up a decent amount of height in the background of this tank. So it just saves me on having to use quite so much aqua soil. So I'll just put those two bits in there. So now we've got the lava stone in, we are going to be putting in some used aqua soil. I tend to try to keep a lot of my aqua soil if it's not been used for too long. A lot of my scapes, you know, they won't be for too long, or I set them up and then I had to move, and so I'm resetting up the scape. And when I do that, I like to keep the aqua soil. Just another little thing to help keep the cost down, which I think is, you know, a good thing to do when you're making an aquascape because it can be pretty damn expensive. So all I make sure is that the aqua soil itself hasn't broken down too much, and then I top it up a bit with some root tabs and then They give it all a fresh top layer of fresh new aqua soil towards the end, and this just helps to, you know, not have such an aggressive start with the ammonia, because you're not filling up an entire tank to the brim with, you know, a bunch of fresh aqua soil. And then also helps you just save that little bit of money on buying the new stuff, because it can be pretty expensive. Right, so now that we've got this substrate in, it's time to put in some of the stones. So we're going to put in the first stone, which is the major stone, the largest one, and also called the father stone, I believe. I'm not a super duper expert. I don't know what the Japanese names are either, but that just goes in here. Then I'm just going to add another small little stone that I've got here. Just add some support, just in case it wants to have a little slide. So it just adds a little extra something in the front here just to help give it a bit more structure. So there we go, that's not too bad. Right, now we're on to the second largest stone, the supporting stone, which is just meant to shift some of the weight so it's not all on that side of the scape. And we've got this one just here, which is quite nice, has some great textures on it. That goes in. Now I'm just going to add a third sort of supporting, or second supporting stone, or a third sort of biggish stone. This one's going to be right towards the front here, just in front of this one. Twist that a bit more to the side, give it a bit more space between. Give it a nice. There we go. And then the final stone is going to go in that back pocket there, just to help sort of create that sense of depth and to add a little bit more, to make it look like there's something sort of behind that big stone there. So that one's just going to go in just like that. And it looks pretty big because it's not fully buried, but I'm going to rearrange some of the soil so it's a little bit more buried and the soil comes a bit higher on the back of those plants there. So I'm going to play around with that now. Alright, so that's sort of the finished up hardscape. I'm going to add some nutrients, some root tabs up to the back side of the tank here, because I'm going to have some sort of longer, more grass-like plants, which will be root feeders. They'll be aerocalons, so it'd be good to get some nutrients into the soil there, just a bit extra. And I'm also going to top up the scape with some fresh aqua soil, which will also help with that, which will be nice. And then we should be pretty much ready for planting. It's quite hard to get into that back corner because it's a bit tight and close. I might put all these down here. And I might get one more root tab. Put in here, because I'm going to have, as I said, I'm going to have some aerocalon species. I'm also going to have some Blixa japonica, just to give me a more grass-like finish, which I think is going to look awesome in this scape. I really wanted a longer hair grass or like a vivipara, but we unfortunately do not have those available to me where I am at the moment. I could not find any anywhere, which kind of sucks. We're just adding a final little layer of fresh aqua soil here, and this is the fine UNS contra soil, which I think is pretty much perfect, especially because I'm going to be planting a lot of Monte Carlo, so it's probably good for the roots to have some nice fine aqua soil here in the front. So that's the rest of that small bag that I had, which is worked out perfect. So just clean off some of these sections, get it a bit more level. It's quite difficult to work in here because we're pretty hardscape full in this tank. which is good. All right, all done. All right, so now just going to prepare our plants, get ready for planting. So we've got a serving of Monte Carlo here. Unfortunately, I only got one. Maybe I should have got a couple. I'm just going to see how this all sort of breaks apart and looks, because I don't know exactly how much I'm going to need. But as you can see, this is in tissue culture and not from a, doesn't look like it's from a shop because it's from a local seller, which is how I end up having to buy a lot of my plants, because you just don't have stock at a lot of the shops, or they're just quite expensive. So I bought all this. Oh, this is good, it's all come apart quite nicely. So I bought all this Monte Carlo because I also wanted to buy this here, which is the Eriocalon plant that I'm going to be using, which I think looks really nice. As I said, I wanted to use a Vivipara or a very long grass type, but this is Eriocalon breviscapum or breviscarpum, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this should be good. Should sort of hit the surface, lay across the background and look really nice. So after I've planted these, I've got to cut some Blixa japonica, as I said, out of another one of my tanks. I've got a few bits there, and I think that'll also give a nice little brownish, reddish, green hint to the scape, and should also have that nice strap-like leaf look, which will be very nice in the tank. So I'm going to take these in, get them all ready for planting, and then we'll be good to go. Yeah, I like to plant into a wet substrate, so I'm going to be pouring some water on the back section, letting it soak through and then fill up. And then it just makes it, in my opinion, a lot easier to plant. And I find if you're tipping a bucket in, it can create a lot of sort of soil movement. And if you're also, I don't know how else to explain, if you're also filling it up too quick, I find it can just help to make things move a little bit too much, which I don't really want to with some big stones sort of sitting in here. So I'm just going to slowly but surely fill this one up. All right, and now it is time to start the planting. All right, so it'll be difficult to do with the cameras here, but we'll see how I go. So I'm trying to break this Monte Carlo up quite small because I need this to go a decent distance. And I might end up actually even ordering a little bit more because there is one shop which I know I can get more from. So I might have to order some more. That should come later this week. But for the moment, we're just going to get some in. Now this tank will have CO2, so it should have a decent little spread of the Monte Carlo pretty quickly. Alright, so that is all the Monte Carlo planted, and it looks like it's close to enough, but I would prefer a little bit more, so I might have to have a look, see if I can order some this week to maybe top it up a little bit, because I would like a little bit more. But now I'm going to go in with the Eriocalon, which I'm going to put just in this corner here. It should be really nice there, and I'm hoping that'll grow up and then give a nice little coverage there. And then this other one is going to go into this back corner just here. See if it fits in nice. Whoa, it's quite difficult to get in because there's such a big thick root system, which is why I put those root tabs down there for them, because they love the nice nutrients down at their feet. So there is those two, a couple of last little dregs of Monte Carlo. And finally, I got some Blixa Japonica here, which I think will look quite nice. Just sort of in this back section behind some of the back rocks here. I think it'll have a good little grassy look, and it won't get too high because I kind of want it to be higher on the ends and sort of lower down in the middle. So I think this should be a perfect little plant. We're just in this section here. And there we go. So I think that's pretty much it for the planting. I might put some S-repens in these little shadowy areas under here. I'm not sure. I've got some in a Dutch style tank next to it, but it just needs a little bit of time to grow. And also I've just been treating it for a little bit of staghorn algae because that's a pretty recently set up tank. But overall, I think we're pretty much done. So it's time to fill up. And then you'll see the end result probably in about a month or so. So, all right. So we are back. It has been a few days since planting the tank. I currently just have some Secam Matrix, which has been pulled from another tank in there to help with the cycle. I put in some CO2, which I'll probably adjust because that's from the tank on the next side. I'm going to put this one on its own system. But for now, this is what we've sort of got going on. I've also got the filter, which is the Oase Filto Smart 60 connected. I might do a video about that separately, just as a bit of a interesting small filter, and I think maybe not the best option for people. But I'm going to add some more plants. I probably mentioned earlier that I wanted to have some Eleocharis vivipara in this tank. And I just couldn't find any. The local shops didn't have any, and a few of the growers that I talked to, or people that sell, private sellers that sell plants, didn't have any. But fortunately, one of them got back to me yesterday, or last night, to say that he had got some vivipara. So I've got some vivipara. I also got some more Monte Carlo while I was there because I thought, you know, it's a pretty small amount. I might as well get some more. I think, you know, if I'm going to his place to get the vivipara, I might as well get some more Monte Carlo. This amount is probably just a little bit too much for what I would have wanted to give it a better start. So I'm going to top up the Monte Carlo. I've also got a small little bit of boost, which I'm going to put between these rocks here. It's a nice sort of rarer type of boost that he had, and it's going to be a really small leaf, so it might look all right. If it looks weird, I can pull it out, but I just wanted to get it because it's a cool little type of boost, and I kind of really like collecting different types of boosts. So anyway, I'm going to start planting up all the new plants for this tank. So this vivipara is pretty massive. It's been growing immersed, so out of the water, so it's a little bit bigger than, you know, if it was just been growing in the water. So it might take a little while to convert, but I think overall I'm very excited for this plant. I got two little packs of it, and so I want to put a big chunk of it into my other large tank that I have. And this also looks like it has duckweed on it, which is my nightmare. So, oops, I will be pulling all that duckweed out before I am done with this, because I do not want duckweed in my tanks. footage in here. Oh yeah, nice. So there we go. So I got the little bit of boost in there, which I think should accent that little bit of rock. I like minimalist iwagumis, but I do like when there's a few bits of extra plants in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to top up the tank pretty much right up to the top there, and then I'm just going to scoop out all of the duckweed that seems to have been brought in, because I want to keep this tank clean and keep the duckweed out. And then you're probably going to see some footage from a good few weeks from now, when the tank's had some time to settle in and I've given it a bit more of a trim. The only things I might add is I've got some S. repens growing in the tank, my Dutch style tank, which is just a few over on the rack. And I'm thinking about putting some down here and in these little shady spots where I don't think the Monte Carlo is going to grow that well. And I think that will accent those spots. The other thing I might do is, this section here is quite dark, and I might put some Schismatoglottis petrioi, or maybe like a little crypt or something in there, but I'm not sure. But for the most part, this is pretty much done. So yeah, next time you see this tank, it will be after a few weeks, and it's had some time to grow in, and we'll see how it's looking. All right, and here we are a few months later, and I'm really happy with this tank. I think it's grown in quite nice. I'm really happy with the composition. I think it's all looking pretty good. The only issue I seem to have had is I've had a bit of an algae problem. I've got like a green beard or a green hair, that short fuzzy green algae on a lot of stuff, a little bit of black beard, and that got pretty bad because I went away on holidays for about a month. But now that I'm back, I've just been doing some spot dosing of Seachem XL, and it's knocked most of it out, and it's looking to have really cleaned up a bit. So overall, I'm very happy with this tank. The only thing I think that lets it down is my maintenance. I think the composition's great, the plants are looking good and healthy. I think I've got the fertilization figured out now, so it should be pretty much done with all the problem algae hopefully soon. It's got a lot of snails in there, and that's mainly because the auto feeder was probably feeding a bit heavy while I was away. But apart from that, I'm very happy with this tank. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and if there's any other fish that you think I should add. I added some green neon rasboras. They're very energetic, they're always swimming around, they're going kind of crazy, and I think they look really cool. And I think they suit this tank. You know, the rocks are dark, they've got those little pops of red and orange, and then everything else in the tank is pretty much green, including the fish, and I think it looks pretty cool. Nice sort of minimalist iwagumi, I think, or minimal in color, I should say. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.